Madison, are you there?
Yeah.
All right. This is me. I'm Spencer, and this is Madison.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you all?
Good.
Good. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. I actually live with your teacher.
Yeah, he told us.
Yeah. Wait, I wonder, is he in the room?
He was just in the room, but he left.
Oh. All right.
That would have been perfect.
All right, so yeah, we're here to interview you. And I guess we could just get started with the questions.
Alright, let's do it.
Alright, so the first question is, you work at a generic company, right?
Yeah, I work at Sandoz Pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
They do the generics for Novartis.
Alright, cool. So what is the difference between generic and brand name drugs to you? Like, what do you think?
So, the biggest difference is that, brand name, I'll just give you a little bit of background. So, brand name drugs, they have to create a patent,
Mm-hmm.
and you all know what a patent is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so brand name drugs, they create a patent. And once that patent runs out, then that pharmaceutical makeup of that product is pretty much available for any company to make.
Mm-hmm.
So once that patent runs out, it's kind of just fair game. Anyone can create that drug, and they have access to how the product is made. So the product's made up of API,
Mm-hmm.
which stands for active pharmaceutical ingredient.
Yeah.
And so that knowledge that information is released once the patent is up.
All right.
So, and the biggest difference between generic and brand name drugs is that there's this thing called bioequivalence.
Mm-hmm.
And so bioequivalence is a bioequivalent drug for generic drugs basically means that it has the same properties as the product, and it hits the bloodstream in a similar way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
have a question?
Yeah, I was about to say, so even if they have the same chemical makeup, my dad was talking about, he works for GSK. You know what that is?
Oh, yeah, I know GSK.
Yeah, so he does, the packaging for drugs, and he was telling me that even though they have the same chemical makeup, they are different, kind of, some sort.
Right, yeah, I mean, and they have freedoms to change anything in the drug, like the taste or the shape or the color.
Yeah.
But the chemical makeup needs to be pretty much the same. The only difference is there's a speed kind of, or not a speed, what am I trying to say? It breaks up, the way the product breaks up and enters your bloodstream,
Mm-hmm.
the drug can be anywhere from I think it's 80% to 125% of that, and that's called that bioequivalency.
Mm-hmm.
So it can go into your bloodstream a little bit weaker than a brand name could, or a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
And they kind of have that freedom and that tolerance to do that. It doesn't have to be as, I guess, specific as a brand name drug is.
All right, so there is a difference between generic and brand name drugs, but do usually most generic drugs, are they weaker than brand name drugs? Is that why they're less expensive?
No, so the reason they're less expensive is because, I guess I should start off with the reason brand name drugs are so expensive is because of all the research that goes into creating them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is years and years of testing and human trials and animal trials and just getting the product ready for commercial use. There's tons of research and hours that go into that, and FDA commitments as well, making sure things are within the tolerances and safe to use.
Yeah.
So it's mostly that. That's what makes brand name drugs so expensive, and that's why you have a certain amount of time where that is your product. You have the patent. Nobody else can make that product except for you because you created it.
Mm.
Otherwise, anyone could just use the same ingredient, make a product, and kind of steal the ideas of another company.
All right. I guess that's it for the first question. All right.
Yeah, that answers the second one too. Why are generic drugs not as known?
Well, I guess there's a couple reasons. I guess the biggest one is that because generic drugs are cheaper, you don't really need to advertise for them because people who want to spend less money for drugs are going to ask for the generic drugs. I think that's pretty much the biggest reason for why they're not really known. Like when a drug first comes out, you see advertisements on TV and stuff for it. But once that product has been out there for a long period of time, and you go to the doctor and get prescribed something, you can specifically ask for the generic to pay less. And I think that's why they don't really care about advertising or getting their product known.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I guess the third question would be, why would people... Oh, I guess, I don't know if this is really the same, an answer for it. I mean, why would people pay more for brand name drugs instead of getting generic drugs for the same effect? Almost.
Well, I think a lot of that is because of the tighter tolerances, the tighter specifications that make that drug more useful.
Yeah, useful. Yeah.
For people. Just because they have those tighter tolerances and they've done all that research and know the best way of providing that medicine to a person. I that's why I would. When I go to the doctor, I typically want to get name brand drugs, and that's just because, you don't get generic drugs because there's such a wide tolerance. You don't know if it's going to have as good of an effect on you as the one that's created for people, in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
So, are name brand drugs basically more reliable? Is that what you're saying? You would...
I guess, as a whole, I guess I would say so. Based on the individual, some individuals may have a better experience taking a generic drug just because of their biological makeup. They might need more of the API than, say, other products would. But I think as a whole, you're going to get more consistency from those brand name drugs, and you're going to be kind of just getting the same thing and getting what you need.
All right. Yeah.
Is the process the same with making generic drugs? Is it the same as making the name brand?
Yeah. It is going to be the same thing. The only thing is, so I work in a solid dosage manufacturer, so the production of the API and the compressing it into tablets is the same across the board. So I guess the only difference is a different company is making the product. But from my standpoint, from where I work, it's all the same.
All right, so this is a kind of different question. It's how is working in a chemical factory different than working at a regular job?
Okay, so first of all, it's FDA certified, so everything has to be clear of contaminants and clear of actual contact, physical contact.
Yeah.
You can wear gloves and stuff, but before you go on the manufacturing floor, you have to wear a gown over all of your clothes. You have to wear shoe covers, a hairnet, and if you have a beard, and you can have a beard net as well. And then if you're a female, you can't have any sort of cosmetics when you go on the floor in case they come in contact with the product.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very strict in that way. And then you have to wash your hands and use sanitizer every single time you want to go out onto the floor and back. And then there's the rooms where they're actually compressing and working on the product itself, and particles can get in the air. If you're in those rooms, you either have to wear some sort of respiratory equipment or wear a mask if it's not as bad. That way you keep the product out of your lungs, because if you're in that environment all day, I'm sure that wouldn't be good for you.
Yeah. It's kind of like what my dad does. Since he does the packaging for the drugs, he has to I've seen pictures of where he's wearing like that whole gown and the shoe covers and everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so those are like
do,
the
do like cosmetics and stuff? Is it that big of a deal if it gets like near it? Like what's gonna happen?
Yeah, it definitely does, because, I mean, it would be like, I think, really, if you get down to it, it wouldn't be a huge deal. You probably wouldn't be able to notice it, but because the Food and Drug Administration has such strict rules, you just kind of have to follow them. Like, or say someone was allergic to a certain cosmetic, and I know that that's probably rare, but if someone is allergic to that and somehow it comes in contact with a product and they take it, your company is going to be liable for that. I know that that's a very slim chance, but when you're in this industry, you kind of have to cover everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are like the safety precautions and regulations, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But I know a lot of, like, I work with a lot of women who, and I'm just telling you this in case you want to go into the pharmaceutical industry, but a lot of women just will take off their makeup and then go out on the floor and then come back and put it all back on. So in case you ever want to go into that field and that's a turn off, don't let it be.
All right. I guess like the last question. Madison, you want to say that? All right. So I guess the last question is what is the difference between regulations and the safety for generic and drug companies for brand name companies? Like, are they the same?
They are. They're exactly the same. The FDA has the same rules across the entire board. It doesn't matter if it's generics or if it's brand names. You're going to have the same safety precautions, the same like non-contaminant rules that you would get anywhere.
All right. I mean, I guess those are all the questions, but I guess I'm trying to think of something else. I mean, I guess that's it.
Yeah, I mean, if you have any more questions or anything before your project, you can just email them to me, and I can send you an email reply back.
All right.
If there's anything else that y'all need, because I mean, I know how it is. You probably get to working on it and realize, oh, I should have asked this. So don't be afraid. I'll respond in a better manner than I did this time. So.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yeah, what's up?
How do you know, like, what the amount of dosage would be? Like, do you work in that or no?
No, I mean that's the doctor. They're going to prescribe the concentration of it. I can tell you that really all that means because what we do is we take that active pharmaceutical ingredient and we compress it into tablets. So like all that concentration really means is how much ingredients is in that one tablet. So you can just take more material and compress it down to that same size tablet. So that's just up to the doctor. The doctor thinks that you need a stronger strength of something. We can provide that as well.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I guess that's it. So thanks for letting us interview you.
Yeah,
No problem. No problem.
Yeah, so I guess if I have any questions whenever I'm doing this project, I guess I could email you, like you said.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem.
All right, cool.
okay.
Tell Mr. Zach